Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, broadcasting on Channels Television, live from Lagos. Channels TV app on the Android, iOS and Windows platforms. If you have pictures or videos you'd like to share with us, tap the application on your device, swipe to reveal the eyewitness menu and follow the instructions. Now here are some of the reports that you sent to us. We begin with this one from the Lekki Ajah area of Lagos, showing a BRT bus involved in an accident. Our eyewitness reporter says there was no casualty as at the time of sending this photo. Next is this one from the Ife-Ibadan Expressway in Osun State, showing a car carrying what our eyewitness reporter says is a water tanker, which he says is dangerous and should be discouraged on our roads. Finally, this photo was sent from Calabar-Ikom Highway, showing a traffic jam. Our reporter says the gridlock is as a result of bad drainage. He appeals for a quick intervention by concerned individuals or officials to come to the aid of road users. We thank you for sending those pictures, and please note that you too can report news and events around you. All you need to do is download Channels Television free apps from their respective stores. Nigeria begins her presidency of the UN Security Council on Wednesday, August the 12th, amidst many pressing world issues. It will be the 5th time the country will hold this position, and the first time it will be happening at the UNSC. Nigeria was elected a non-permanent member of the Council in 2013 and served from 2014 to 2015. Global security remains a priority of the Council. On Sunday, it strongly condemned the series of attacks in the Afghan capital, Kabul. Nigeria will preside over deliberations on the crisis in the Middle East and draw the attention of the Council members to efforts against fighting global terror. Our correspondent, Adeshawa Josh, reports from New York.
For the next 3 weeks, the United Nations Security Council will be conducting the business of maintaining world peace and security as usual. Only this time, the most populous black nation, Nigeria, will be presiding again for the 5th time since it became a non-permanent member of the Council. In these meetings, all representatives of the permanent and non-permanent members of the Council will deliberate on how to maintain global security and foster peace in conflict regions like the Middle East and Africa. As Nigeria heads this very important organ of the United Nations for the next few weeks, many are of the opinion that the country should make the most of this opportunity.
This is a wonderful experience, wonderful opportunity, I should say, for Nigeria to, I wouldn't say impose its will, but to express its desire for more favorable conditions in the world, especially where terrorism is concerned. This is not only something that's happening in Nigeria, so hopefully at this point Nigeria can use this platform to express her desire for terrorism to be, if not stamped out, to be handled in a very forceful manner.
Well, I feel Nigerians should make the best use of the opportunity and not deviate to other unimportant aspects of the country. They should focus on that security and put in all their efforts, and I believe they'll do great.
This is the chamber of the United Nations Security Council, where all the consultations and resolutions on world peace and security takes place. Nigeria's permanent representative to the United Nations, Professor Joy Ogu, will be leading these discussions for the next 3 weeks. And right behind me is where she will be sitting, alongside the UN Secretary General, Mr. Ban Ki-moon. Discussions on the Middle East and Africa and elsewhere around the world will take center stage. And I'll be here to bring you the very latest on all of these resolutions from the United Nations Security Council here in New York. Adeshawa Josh, Channels Television News.
The recent order by the President for the cleanup of Ogoni land has continued to receive commendation. This time, international oil company Shell Petroleum Development Company has described the move as a demonstration of leadership by President Muhammadu Buhari, promising to play its part in maintaining the momentum. The oil giant, however, rejected the allegation by the International Human Rights Organization that its remediation method in Ogoni land is ineffective. Amnesty International had claimed that the president's initiative would fail and the Ogoni people would continue to suffer as long as Shell fails to change its method of oil spill cleanup. But Shell, in a statement, reaffirmed its commitment to the implementation of the UNEP report, as it has reviewed its use of bioremediation as the principal cleanup technique appropriate for the Niger Delta. It added, quote, SPDC is working with several additional remediation options recommended by independent experts to ensure that the most appropriate techniques are applied in all impacted sites, end of quote. It further emphasized that in line with the UNEP position, treating the problem of environmental pollution in Ogoni land merely as a technical cleanup exercise is what will result in failure. It therefore urged coordinated and collaborative action to end the widespread pipeline sabotage, crude oil theft, and illegal refining of crude, which it claims are the main causes of environmental pollution in Ogoni land and the Niger Delta in general. Well, if there is one thing that the people of Ogoni land in Nigeria's oil-rich Niger Delta region want to see happen right now, it will definitely be the immediate cleanup of the area. Since President Muhammadu Buhari announced the fast track of the cleanup, so many reactions have followed, and many Nigerians now anticipate the commencement of the exercise. The ruling All Progressives Congress says the president's order of the cleanup is part of his campaign promise, which are now being effected. Our political correspondent, Seun Okinbaloye, reports.
The pollution drives everybody out, and we have not been drinking water, we have not been farming for some years now.
In our community, very rare, before you see somebody live up to 70 years.
Sad tale of the Ogoni people in Nigeria's oil-rich Niger Delta region. It might sound like a fairy tale, but the pains of the people of this area is better imagined. Terribly polluted water, unfit for drinking and perhaps useless for any other purpose. The land here totally messed up by the spills. What about other infrastructures? They are in a sorry state. Cleaning up Ogoni is not a child's play in any sense. The announcement by the federal government to fast-track the process is seen as the right move by many Nigerians. The All Progressives Congress says the order is part of the campaign promises of President Muhammadu Buhari, which he has started to accomplish.
The International Committee also recommended that the cleanup of environmental cleanup of the entire Niger Delta, not just Ogoni land, should be a major priority of government. So he's doing both his campaign promise and also what was recommended by the Transition Committee.
The party spokesperson reveals more details about the cleanup exercise.
A new implementation template has also been evolved at the instance of President Buhari, and the environmental cleanup of Ogoni land will commence in earnest with the President's inauguration of the Higher Governing Council and the Board of Trustees for the Trust Fund. Finally, it is important to say that with this particular step, General Buhari has proved beyond doubt that he is a president for not those who voted for him, but also those who did not vote for him or those who did not vote at all.
We can't continue living like this. We can't continue living on water as charity. We are ready, the manpower is ready, we need the training, we need the implementation to commence, and we expect action immediately. Immediate expectations of actions, the people of the area clamor. For a fact, the exercise will take several years, but beyond the cleanup is a possible multi-dimensional approach to the challenges of the Niger Delta people, the APC spokesperson says.
A more comprehensive approach to the Niger Delta is being undertaken by this government, and in the fullness of time, it will be unveiled.
Expectations are rising, too expensive to have hopes dashed now. Future which perhaps looks bleak even for the young may be rescued if the promises are kept. Seun Okinbaloye reporting for Channels Television News.
Well, now let's join Linda Akigbe, who is in our Abuja studio. Hello, Linda.
Hello, Bimbo, and welcome to Abuja. Recently, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency issued a flood alert in conjunction with the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA. Back in 2012, lots of towns in Anambra, Benue, and some parts of the southwest were massively devastated by floods. This compelled the federal government to set up a committee headed by a prominent Nigerian businessman. Now, 17.6 billion naira, being direct intervention, was to be expended on flood-prone areas. NEMA, we understand, got 1.6 billion naira, but up till now, most of the states are yet to repair the damaged bridges or find solutions to the issues of flooding. Now, there's yet another flood alert this year, and so far, the picture is not looking different. Now, I'm being joined on the news at 10 by NEMA's Deputy Director of Planning, Research and Forecasting, Mr. Emenike Umesi. Thanks for joining us on the news at 10, Mr. Emenike.
Thank you very much.
Well, so we experienced the 2012 flooding. This is 2015, yet another flood warning from NEMA. What does this mean in concrete terms? What are we to expect?
For us in the emergency management sector, it's better this time around because we have an early alert. That means we have to match early warning with early action. The preparedness started from the point when we had the SRP, the seasonal rainfall prediction from NEMET, and then stakeholders meetings were held, the implications for disaster management was developed, and then the sensitization and awareness campaigns were started all over the country at the state level by the regional and operational offices of NEMA. This new alert we got from the Cameroonian authorities means that the understanding we have with them is working. In 2012, we didn't get this early warning. So what we have now is an early warning to enable us prepare in case there is any level of flooding. So it's a welcome development for us right now.
So expecting massive flooding from which period? What's the time frame? What should we be looking at?
It doesn't necessarily mean that we are going to expect flooding.
Okay.
What we know now is that the Latgo Dam, water will be released in sequence, starting from July 27th to November 15th. It means that they are going to space out the release of the water. It will not necessarily be a threat to Nigeria, but we have to also prepare on our own side, so that in case there are margins of error, then we can actually be prepared for it.
Now, in 2012, lots of lives were lost in states like Kogi, Anambra, Delta, Adamawa, among others. Now, the emergency management drive took some of your men to these areas, and what was observed was there was poor drainage system in these states. There was poor urban and regional planning. But with this new flood alert, how can we prevent damages like what we saw in 2012 reoccur again in 2015?
What we had in 2012 was not actually urban flooding, if we recall very well. What we had was coastal flooding, because water was released from several dams that were not coordinated, and we didn't have enough buffer dams to take in the water. So even if we had good drainages in the cities then, most of the cities, it wouldn't make much difference because the water was not actually entering most of the cities. Most of the people that were affected were people living along the water lines. Most of the tributaries and rivers that are connected to the Niger and Benue lines. So you find out that the frontline states were actually very much affected, which the areas we call the Benue Trough, up to down to River State, Delta, and all those states. Those were the states that were affected. But between then and now, and even before then, there has been a high level of advocacy and campaigns by all agencies of government and the emergency management sector and the humanitarian actors on the importance of ensuring that we have open waterways, people not building along the floodplains, and then that drainages should not be blocked, especially by people who are building on those drainage ways, and then by dumping of refuse in the drains. These are things that cause the natural urban flooding. Okay? So those areas are also important. But what we are saying is that for the level of flooding that happened in 2012 to reoccur, it means that all the efforts we have put in, that are being put in by the dam managers, are not working. That is a worst-case scenario. Now we have a coordinated and harmonized systems of releasing water, and there's always that synergy with the Hydrological Agency, NIMET, NEMA, and all the other stakeholders. So the tendency that that level of flooding will occur may not actually be there.
Okay, but still on the issue of the drainages, the feelers, the organization is getting, working with the state government and other stakeholders, what are you getting in terms of these drainages and these little things that could cause flooding or could, worsen the situation? Are you getting any feelers that this, these drainages and these issues are being sorted out in 2015?
At the micro level, like in the small parts of the communities where people live, I don't think Nigerians have consciously tried to work on that. Okay. But so far, to a large extent, the feelers we get is that people are becoming more conscious of the environment and they are reducing these abuses.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Eminike Umesi, for joining us on the News at 10.
Thank you very much.
And that's all from Abuja. Back to you, Lagos.
Thank you very much, Linda. Now, when the News at 10 returns, Nigeria continues its fight to completely eliminate polio. Please stay with us.